If you guys have not already seen, Valkyrae has been under fire, and kind of in the mixture of under fire with a lot of people supporting her because she recently came out and accused Jason Momoa of being rude to the crew on the Minecraft movie. We're going to take a look at a post from Discussing Film. We're going to take a look at the actual video clip where Valkyrae says this, and then we're going to take a look at a bunch of the top replies from the internet to kind of get a gauge on how people are feeling about this. And as always, guys, I would love to know what you think about this whole situation down below afterwards. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels. Guys, let's start off by taking a look at this post over here from Discussing Film. Valkyrae says that she appears in the live-action Minecraft movie and thought Jason Momoa was rude to the crew. I saw him mistreat some of the crew. It was pretty disappointing. It was after a very intense scene, so maybe it was still in character. He was just really mad at them and they weren't doing something right. Like setting up the shot, he was just getting really angry and yelling. I was like, this is not a good work environment and I would not be happy working under these conditions. And before we continue on taking a look at what people had to say about this, Yoxic had the actual clip for us to take a look at. We're going to watch it right now, and hopefully my face cam doesn't get in the way of everything. If it does, then I'll just make this a little bit smaller. But guys, also one more thing, because I know I'm going to get these comments down below. I have to pause it or else I am not allowed to use the footage. That's how reaction content works. That's just unfortunately what I need to do. Let's watch this clip together.
Next question.
You're good.
Worst celebrity or streamer experience? You don't have to say the name.
I will say the name.
Oh, so she like all of a sudden like really hates this dude, by the way. And also I think I can do this. Like, yeah, that looks a little bit better, doesn't it? So she is not afraid to just completely say the name. So she's pretty confident what she's about to say. Another thing is I have this volume maxed out, guys. Sorry about that. It's a little bit low on my end.
Ooh. Okay.
Who's an asshole? Who's a
Uh-oh.
fucking asshole?
How do I say this?
She seemed locked and loaded ready for that answer too, which is really interesting.
So, Minecraft movie. I have a cameo in the Minecraft movie. It's coming out. I would have to say Jason Momoa.
Oof.
Really? Aquaman?
I just saw him like mistreat some of the crew.
Now, is she her? I don't know. I don't watch a lot of Valkyrae, so take what I'm saying with a big grain of salt. But just trying to like take a look at what she's saying in her face. She seems a little bit unsure. Like either that could be because, well, I don't know if she's lying. Okay, I don't think that she's lying. That's the whole point of it. I don't think she's lying, but I think she's overreacting a little bit probably. But she also looks like she doesn't know if she should be saying this.
And it was pretty disappointing. It was after a very intense scene, and it was a very emotional scene, so maybe he was still in character. I don't know, but I just was kind of surprised by how he treated like some of the crew, and it was like,
what would he do? Like he said.
Yeah, and it wholeheartedly depends on what he actually did. And as far as I know, I haven't actually, to be honest with you, I haven't watched this clip. I've just heard the quotes. I don't know if she actually gets into specifics.
Give me a fucking coffee.
he was just really mad at them that they weren't doing something right. The way it was like setting up like the shot and stuff, and like he was just angry, like really mad and like yelling. And so I was like, man, this is like not a good work environment. Like,
now this is the problem, because you hear that a lot. You hear that a lot from people nowadays, that this is not a good work environment. It's just people getting criticized. Like the way that I look at this, and of course we don't know. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm not saying that. I need you guys to understand that. But it could very well be like this dude's been pissing off Jason Momoa throughout the entire movie, and he finally just lost it. You know, that I wouldn't say that creates for a toxic work environment. I think you'd need to be there for a lot of the time.
I would not be happy working under these conditions.
Yeah.
And more people need to talk about that, by the way, the stupid people at work, because that is a very real possibility.
So yeah, I would probably have to say that was probably like the worst like celebrity thing I've seen.
Interesting. Okay, so again, the big gist of the situation right here, guys, is nobody knows what the actual work environment was like. As far as I'm aware, nobody else has came out and said anything about Jason Momoa. I don't even know if he has a history in these types of things, but regardless, like we can all make assumptions, but we can't say definitively. And I don't think that this is worth really hating on Valkyrae for, because she did see what see what she saw. It's not worth hating on Jason Momoa for, because we don't know if that worker was a bad worker, or even if he was overreacting. And then if Valkyrae came on, maybe she's just a sensitive person. Maybe Jason Momoa wasn't even being rude. The whole point is we don't know. We don't have anything to watch. We're just going by Valkyrae's word. So let's not think about what I have to say. Let's take a look at what the internet had to say, not just replying to Discussing Film, but a bunch of people on the topic in general. And as always, guys, I'd love to know what you think down below afterwards. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Let's get into this video deeper. Tyler Duran had this to say: she's barely in the movie industry and she's already talking drama with one of the biggest stars. They're definitely not calling her back to set after this. I don't know. Like, I just don't think it's a good idea to start drama with one of the biggest stars. But then again, Valkyrae's... Wow. I don't know if that came through my mic. Valkyrae is already majorly successful, so, like, I mean, I think that she can afford to do this stuff, but maybe, who knows? Maybe they just... maybe they won't call her back. Who knows? There was a reply to this that I found interesting. Jamber XX had this to say: means she's more truthful about it because she's not part of the industry. She doesn't have to keep silent. We know with other set incidences with other actors, goes on, and no one says anything until maybe years later. That's a good point. There are probably a lot of really, really bad things that happens on movie sets, and they don't say anything because it's such an important and massive thing to be part of the movie. And I would imagine that hush money goes around if something bad happens. Like, I swear to God, like, I imagine Jason Momoa could... I'm not saying he does this, okay? I'm just using Jason Momoa as an example. He could straight up, like, probably walk up to that crew member. Hey, why is my straw not in there properly? Punch him directly in the face, and they probably just pay him off to not say anything. I wholeheartedly believe that stuff happens. Not about Jason Momoa. I'm just using him as an example. Let's continue on to Dirt Sheet Radio. She saw one moment of frustration and called it a bad working environment. This is where I'm kind of at. You don't know what was going on. Like, you saw a situation that was likely out of context. We don't know anything about Jason Momoa. We don't know if he was the one being rude, if he was just having a bad day, which doesn't excuse anybody's behavior, or we don't know if this worker, they personally don't like each other, or if he was screwing up a lot and Jason Momoa finally lost it. It's true. She saw one moment of frustration and called it a bad working environment because in reality, how long was she there for? She's just making a cameo. I don't think it's enough to really dictate that it's a toxic working environment unless you like see something real bad. You know, let's continue on anyways. There was a couple replies to this specific tweet. David had this to say: to be fair, she hasn't worked in a decade. A mild argument that could be bad working environment to her. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, but I don't know Valkyrae's work history. I don't know if she's had jobs throughout her streaming career. I don't even know if she's been streaming for a decade. I don't know anything about her, so I don't know if that's true or false. Some Lucas replied to this: she works all the time doing photo shoots, music videos, and acting for advertisements. I'm sure she knows what a bad working environment on a set is like. That's actually a really good point. That's a really solid point. But then again, the problem is, and this is such a problem that I have with society today, like, bad working environments obviously exist. Bad bosses exist. Bad supervisors exist. Bad managers exist. Whatever you want to say, bad workers exist. All of that is true. But I think people are so soft nowadays that if somebody just doesn't say hi back to somebody, that's a toxic work environment, fire them. Like, that stuff happens too. And I've had many jobs throughout my life. I've been in toxic working environments, and I've more so been around people who think that toxic work environments are present when they're not, than I have actually been a part of any toxic working environment. Does that make sense? So I'm always really, really hesitant to believe anybody when they talk about toxic work environments. But again, I don't mean to dismiss it. It could very well be true. There are horrible people out there. There are horrible workspaces out there. Let's continue on. Real quick Miss had this to say: I mean, honestly, Jason has a stressful job. Valkyrae wouldn't understand if she sits in a chair all day streaming. This is a little bit of a there's a little bit to break down to this one, because Jason does have a stressful job, and Valkyrae probably doesn't understand it. But to say that she sits in a chair all day streaming, I mean, kind of true. I'm sure she does more stuff than sit in a chair all day. Her job's probably not nearly as hard as being an actor, but it's not also like the easiest thing in the world to do. I think that just dismissing anything that Valkyrae is saying by saying that she's just a streamer who sits in a chair, I don't think that's a good idea there. I don't think that's fair to her. Let's continue on to Melanie Mack and what she had to say. Nobody can make me hate Jason Momoa. I wanted to include this one because I've seen a few tweets like this, and I don't understand how people can live life like this. You know? Why do people idolize celebrities so much? Swifties, by the way. I don't understand, like, you see somebody who's in movies, you can respect what they do, you can be fan of theirs, but nothing can make you hate Jason Momoa. Like, there's people that live like that. Like, I'm sure Jason Momoa can murder somebody and people would still like him. Like, it's crazy to me that these people exist. Anyways, Richie had this to say: Valkyrae should understand at times one can have a bad day in the office. You can't condemn or pass judgment based on that day. Have we seen any of his staff or crew members coming up complaining of mistreatment? Let's be factual at times. This is both true and false. Like, it is a really, really good point. People do have bad days, but that is absolutely no excuse to mistreat anybody. I don't care how bad of a day you've been having. I don't care how frustrated you are with your work. I don't think it's right to mistreat anybody or lose your cool on anybody. That's not okay, but those moments do exist, and that's just the reality of the world. Somebody by the name of Kaylin Leach replied to that and said, "You absolutely can pass judgment on the actors of someone even if it's a bad day. How people can handle stress or negative emotion is important in determining what they're like, and you can definitely have sympathy for someone in that situation, and I do, but that doesn't excuse them." I thought this was the absolute proper response to this, and that actually summed up how I'm feeling about that particular tweet, but better than I probably presented it. This is completely true. I love that response to it. I have nothing to add to that. It's true. Let's continue on to another reply. X-Wing had this to say, "Gen Z crybaby has to work for a day and doesn't like that someone spoke loudly. I pray for these kids." Now, if I'm not mistaken, Valkyrae is almost 30. Or over 30, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, the top reply says she's a millennial. But unfortunately, this is how the work environment nowadays is. Somebody can't... Where I work, guys, where I work, I've seen people, and not even just my current job, I've seen people been literally told to do their job because they're just, like, messing around. And they treat that as a toxic work environment. Like, insane, man. Absolutely insane. Let's continue on. Sorry, I have to make this a little bit smaller because we're getting to a couple quote tweets over here. Squiddy had this to say, "No offense, but what connection does Valkyrae have to Minecraft? Would have rather seen a cameo by Yogcast or Cat Sparkles, etc." I don't know why I included this tweet. I don't know why. Maybe I clicked on the wrong one. I don't think that has anything to do with the situation. Sorry. All right. Jay Swinger had this to say, "She sits in a chair all day saying W chat and thanks for the sub. She has no idea what working in a stressful environment even is. You know, these people, man. She wouldn't last a day in a world where she has to undergo tough challenges and stressful situations on a regular basis. Makes my blood boil." Again, I understand what Jay is saying here, but it's a little bit too many assumptions about Valkyrae as a person. We don't know what she's like in a work environment. We don't know if she's a hard worker. We don't know if she's fair. We don't know if she's oversensitive. We don't know anything about this. We can make our assumptions, but at the end of the day, like I said at the beginning of this video and so many times, we don't have any context for this, so I don't think it's fair to just completely side one way or the other. It could have very well been a toxic work environment. Jason Momoa could have been perfectly fine if Valkyrae is oversensitive. We don't know. If I had to assume, I would imagine that Valkyrae was not there for long. She saw something that's been building for a while, and that's probably what she saw. Jason Momoa really did have a big moment of frustration. That's my guess, but as always, she could be totally right in saying that. It's maybe one day we'll get a video clip. I don't think so, but I think everybody is overhyping this for no reason. But then again, I guess it is kind of Valkyrae's fault, right? Let me know what you thought about the whole situation down below. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for watching, guys. If you want to continue watching the channel, why don't you check out this video where we take a look at that streamer who set her kitchen on fire a little while ago and her useless boyfriend. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Take care, everybody.